When I asked why that was, they told me, quote, "Whites have a pretty good situation right now," unquote.
Woo! A teenager leaves a whole school board speechless as he gets a standing ovation for exposing their race-based, racist equity agenda at the school. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we love to call out the lies, hypocrisy, corruption of tyrants. Life's too short to be a tyrant, but also highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, one thing that just touches my heart and probably what inspires me the most is when I see young people being brave, bold, and standing for the truth unapologetically, especially because young people, it's easy to fall into peer pressure. It's hard to go against the grain because especially when we're young, being accepted is so important. So to me, it takes a lot more bravery for a teenager to speak out in ways that, you and I would want to speak out. But when a teenager's doing it, that's so brave and it just inspires me so much. I love it. So, accordingly, today we've got a speech a teenager was giving at his high school board meeting. He is just calling out this racial equity, racism the school board's been implementing, even though they're not supposed to, but he's calling it out. And it's just a beautiful message delivered by a teenager. It inspired me, so I want to watch it here with you. Let's take a look. And by the way, as we do, I just want you to say what you'll see here. This is one of the reasons why I have so much hope and optimism for freedom prevailing. I think freedom is prevailing, and we know one of the ingredients for freedom ultimately prevailing is the younger generation picks up the torch that you and I are carrying because we need them. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Brad Taylor, and I just finished my freshman year at RHS. I've been a part of District 196 schools now for 10 years. And I'm going to give you a glimpse today of what's actually going on inside these schools. Despite the board's attempt to deny it, District 196 schools are quickly becoming a place where promoting activism is actually more important than promoting education.
Promoting activism over education, and just highlighting real quick, they're doing it even though the school board is not supposed to be allowing this kind of activism, which is racism, in the schools. So I love the fact that he's calling them out like, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing it. You're saying you're not doing it. You are. We're about to get the download.
I'll take you back to my first day at RHS this fall. The principal came out and gave us a heartfelt speech about equality and standing together. He began to list countless races, such as Latino, Asian, expressing how much they matter and how important they are.
Yeah, the principal gets many virtue signaling points because he knows how to say different races. Like, good for you. You have a diversity of vocabulary. Well done, sir.
But never once did he mention a race or identity that reflects me, or half the kids that were in the class. Now, members of the board, I know you haven't been to school in a while, and I know none of you, or most of you, don't have any kids left in the school district.
He's saying, like, y'all are a bunch of old bastards. Like that.
But you must admit how uncomfortable it will be to be characterized just by your skin color on the first day of school and be thought that you were wrong just because of your skin color.
Yeah, like we know, you imagine black students in the 1950s where there's segregation. I think it's so easy to have like compassion, like how terrible that would feel for them being judged and grouped based on their skin color. It's just as uncomfortable, I would imagine, for anybody based on their skin color, because it's a divisive, hateful mentality that does that. On we go.
So I'll never forget the look one of my friends gave me from across the room as we were sitting there listening to this blatant bias being expressed in the so-called equity statement by the leader of our school.
Equity.
To be clear, I don't need you to tell me that I matter, but hearing the condolences given to other races and leaving just one race out, inevitably you'll start to feel like you've done something wrong.
Which is weird. You think inclusion would, well, I don't know, like let's just say be inclusive. We're gonna make sure we don't include someone. So you have to not include someone so that you can have inclusivity. It's like, no, you're saying the word inclusivity, but that's not what you're doing. You're doing the opposite of it, school board.
And in our principal's attempt to unify us, he instead created unwarranted boundaries and barriers between his students, pitting us against each other based on characteristics that we can't control.
Now that is so important. Like, this is the student receiving the message. And the message he got from the principal's equity speech is, oh, we're being pitted against each other based on characteristics that are not in our control, but we're being pitted against each other. Like, dear principal and dear anybody else that tries to promote these racist tactics under anti-racism, like you call it that, but it's not. Like, this is how the message is being received. It's being received in a way that says you're trying to pit us against. That's division. That's not inclusivity. That's not unity. Gotta understand how the messages are being perceived by the younger generation, which I'd say they're being perceived with the ears of wisdom, like they're actually hearing what you're saying.
In another separate instance, I was told that writing "All Lives Matter" on the whiteboard was political and could be seen as offensive. When I questioned the teacher after class, she told me that she didn't have an answer and she just had to erase it, and it was quickly erased. There are political signs all over RHS, about specific races that matter, specific sexual orientations that matter, and specific perspectives that matter. But when I questioned the RHS administration about how these signs were political, they told me that they were supporting human rights. So when I questioned why the equity statement couldn't represent all students, they told me that to even ask that question was outlandish and offensive.
Wow. To even ask that question, it's outlandish and offensive, which basically means there's so little substance and principle behind the statement and the activism. The only way out of that conversation is, like, we can't go into the logic of it, the principle of it, because there is none. So we have to do this emotional deflection, try to shut someone down, like, that's offensive, that's outlandish, don't ask that question. It's an inconvenient question, so shut up, take your place.
And when I asked why that was, they told me, quote, "Whites have a pretty good situation right now," unquote.
Listen to that audience response. This student was told whites have a pretty good situation right now. Well, let's just generalize all of one race. I can't believe some people will go through the motions of saying these things with so little self-awareness that they don't know what they're actually saying.
So is that not racism?
It is!
Disregarding my question merely because of the color of my skin. To be honest, after enduring a year of the people in charge telling me that I'm a racist and I'm privileged and pointing out our irreversible differences, I've never noticed race more. And it's becoming the first thing I notice when I meet someone, which has never before been the case. RHS administration confidently told me that RHS students and staff are happy with their equity statement. But from my experience in talking with other students, this is not the case. I know many kids who disagree with their teachers, but they're too scared to stand up because they're worried that their grades will be docked and their learning experience will be affected. My honors government teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but he's mentioned that Democrats care more about all people while Republicans only care about themselves.
This is his school, and the teacher is telling him, wow.
And he's also inferred to us that socialism is better than democracy. He even had a statue. He had a statue of a socialist leader in his classroom.
Dude, if this was my kid in this school, I don't know what I would do, but I would just be going insane. I just couldn't believe that my child is being exposed to this sort of divisiveness and hateful attitudes under the cover of its inclusivity and its loving. Jeez, talk about gaslighting.
I've been told by a lot of kids that they just stay silent and adjust their schoolwork to reflect an acceptable opinion to secure a good grade. I've been approached by multiple teachers who have told me in private that they just want to say that they agree with me and they support me standing up, but they can't say it in front of the class for fear of being disciplined by the administration in some way or losing their jobs.
Wow, that is so cowardly of other teachers. Understandable cowardliness. This thought of losing your job, of course that's stressful. Easier said than done. Just always speak your mind. But also the objective reality is that's cowardness. And that's absolutely allowing this kind of diseased ideology to infiltrate schools perpetuated by teachers into the minds of youth, where even if they don't buy it, they go along with it, as this young man has said, out of fear of having their grades docked or getting in trouble.
There is clearly only one way to think in this district, and that is that they are teaching their kids to shut up if they don't agree. Now, members of the board, I want you to take a good look at yourselves in the mirror tonight and ask, are you really standing up for the equality of all people? Or are you just pushing a damaging political ideology on our students? a fellow coworker at my job.
By the way, right now, we're a couple minutes into his speech. Just imagine the school board right now. You know, this young man has 5 minutes to talk. This school board just has to sit in the discomfort of their own actions. How uncomfortable are they in their own skin? Like, you hear the audience moaning out of disapproval when they hear what this young man is sharing about what the school board and the teachers are doing. The beauty of just thinking how uncomfortable the school board people are. Because, that's the bed that they have made for themselves.
Who, by the way, is of color, discreetly told me that the schools seem to be pushing a very leftist agenda in class. This proved that not everyone is happy with your school, and not everyone who isn't happy is white. Now, due to all these instances I've mentioned and many more that I can't fit in this 5-minute speech, I've decided to leave this district and continue school on a private Christian school online. And there will be sacrifices, and I will not get to walk in the graduation ceremony or attend milestones at RHS, but I will be able to learn in an environment that is not intent on punishing me daily for my skin color and political views. Now, regardless of how you take my speech, whether you just shrug it off as malarkey or Fox News talking points, I encourage you to think about it, because someday I'm going to be a leader. I may be the president, a governor, or just a professional golfer, but I will never stop believing that everybody has value, no matter their skin color or personal beliefs, and it's a shame that you're not going to be able to say that I was an alumni of RHS in District 196. Thank you.
That is a shame, and this young man is obviously way too mentally competent to ever be the president. Look, school board's just, we're going to shuffle these papers. Shut up, audience. Quit cheering. We feel embarrassed. We feel humiliated. Now we got to go back to gaslighting you. So, man, I don't even know this young man's name, but just the biggest bow of respect for this young man. He is a shining example for any young people of what courage, bravery, and just sheer honesty and standing up for the right thing looks like. And he's an inspiration for older farts like myself. So hats off to this young man. Young man, if you ever watch this video, just know I am a fan of you. So, dear freedom lover, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. A shining example of a brave American freedom fighter doing the right thing. And with that said, I want to thank the amazing sponsor of today's video. They've been a beautiful support to me, my family, and so many of you in the freedom fighting audience. I want to thank Bond Charge and their amazing infrared sauna blanket. I have an announcement. I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video, my favorite new wellness product I've gotten in the past year, Bond Charge and their infrared sauna blanket. Get this, research has shown that using a sauna between 4 and 7 times a week gives you a 40% reduction in all-cause mortality. And aside from helping me not die, the benefits I get from the infrared sauna blanket are helps me recover from exercise, helps me recover from injuries, helps me detoxify myself, and it boosts my metabolism. After I get out, I feel renewed and energized. The benefits of using a sauna are clear, but the problem with using a sauna is most sauna systems are extremely expensive and take up a lot of space in your home, making them not very practical for most people. But the Bond Charge infrared sauna blanket is extremely cost effective, and I love the fact that it's compact. I roll it out when I'm using it, I clean it up and put it away when I'm done. If you want to take your wellness to the next level with the best, most cost-effective infrared sauna system on the market, then just go to bondcharge.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, use the discount code JPReacts for 15% off. Once again, that is bondcharge.com/JPReacts, discount code JPReacts. Thank you, Bond Charge.